Hollow Creek was a small, quiet town located about an hour outside of Dallas, Texas. It was a town where everyone knew everyone else, where the most exciting event of the week was a local baseball game or the annual fair. People lived simple lives, built on hard work and community. But for Michael, life in Hollow Creek was soon about to change forever. Michael was a hard-working man in his early 30s, tall and broad-shouldered, with dark brown hair and a rugged face weathered by years of outdoor labor. He worked as a security guard at the town's only factory, which provided a steady paycheck for him and his family. But his true love was farming, a passion that had been passed down through generations. Michael's family owned a small farm on the outskirts of town, where he grew crops and tended to a few animals. His parents, Emily and William, were kind but firm, instilling in him the values of honesty and hard work. His younger brother, Noah, was more carefree, always teasing Michael about his serious nature. They lived in a modest home, surrounded by the fields they had worked for years. The family was close-knit, and despite their humble means, they were happy. But everything changed the day Michael met his old friend Alex again. Alex had been Michael's best friend in high school, but after graduation, their paths had diverged. While Michael stayed in Hollow Creek, working hard to maintain the family farm, Alex had left town. No one really knew what he had been doing, but Michael occasionally heard rumors of his wealth. Alex's name was now whispered in Hollow Creek. With a strange reverence, he was known for having made a fortune in a short period, a fortune that seemed to come from nowhere. One warm evening, as Michael was walking back from the fields, he spotted Alex sitting on a bench near the local cafe. Alex's once youthful face had aged, but his eyes still held that same intensity Michael remembered. They greeted each other with a hearty handshake. "Mike, it's good to see you again," Alex said, his smile wide, but there was something in his tone that struck Michael as odd. There was an air of mystery about him, something that Michael couldn't quite place. "I didn't expect to see you back here," Michael replied. "What's been going on with you? You've made quite a name for yourself." Alex laughed softly. "I've been busy, man. A lot's changed. But there's more to it, Mike. Something big. I've found a way to make a lot of money, and I want to show you how." Michael raised an eyebrow. "I've got a farm to run, Alex. I'm not looking for a shortcut to wealth." Alex leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "It's not a shortcut, Mike. It's an opportunity. There's something I've found, something that can make both of us rich. But it's not for the faint of heart. It requires a little bit of a different approach." Michael's curiosity got the better of him. "What do you mean by a different approach?" Alex's eyes gleamed with excitement, but there was a darkness behind them, a darkness Michael hadn't noticed before. "I've made a deal, Mike. A deal with someone who can give us everything we want, but it comes at a price. And I need you to trust me." Michael hesitated. He didn't believe in things like magic or curses, but Alex's words were convincing. Alex had always been the adventurous type, always chasing after something bigger than life itself. Maybe this was just another one of his wild schemes. Still, something about the way he spoke made Michael wonder. "Come with me tonight," Alex urged. "I'll show you what I mean. If you don't like it, you can walk away." No strings attached. That night, Michael followed Alex into the woods just outside Hollow Creek. The moon hung high in the sky, casting long shadows across the forest floor. Alex led Michael through the trees, deep into the forest, to a place Michael had never been before, a clearing with an old, abandoned house at its center. The house was weathered, its wooden structure barely standing. The windows were boarded up, and the roof sagged in several places. A chill hung in the air, and Michael couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. He looked around nervously, but Alex seemed unfazed, as if this was just another night for him. "Wait here," Alex instructed, stepping forward toward the house. "I'll go get her." Michael stood still, trying to make sense of what was happening. He felt a strange, unsettling energy in the air. as if something was not quite right. Suddenly, the door to the house creaked open, and Alex reappeared, leading an old woman behind him. She was dressed in a long black cloak, her face hidden behind a veil. Alex introduced her as the Witch of Hollow Creek. The woman's voice was low and raspy. "You seek wealth?" she asked Michael, her gaze fixed on him through the veil. "I can give it to you. But you must understand, nothing in this world comes without a price." Michael's heart raced. This was beyond anything he had ever imagined. I just want to help my family. I don't want to hurt anyone." The witch smiled, but there was something cold in her eyes. "You will have everything you desire, but when I ask for something in return, you must fulfill my wish. If you refuse, there will be consequences." Michael was terrified, but he felt a strange pull toward the woman, as if her words held some kind of power over him. His greed, buried deep inside him, began to rise to the surface. "What do I have to do?" "Do not worry, child. The task will seem simple at first. You will perform a ritual, and when the time comes, you will receive your reward. But remember, greed can be a dangerous thing. Once you make the deal, there is no turning back." Michael didn't fully understand what the witch meant, but his desire for wealth clouded his judgment. He nodded, agreeing to the deal. The witch handed him a small, weathered book. "Follow the instructions in this book, and you will have everything you desire. But beware, for the consequences of your actions may be more than you can handle." As Michael turned to leave, Alex pulled him aside. "Remember, Mike, you can never go back. Once you accept the power, it owns you." For the next few days, Michael followed the instructions in the book. The rituals were strange and unsettling, chanting in an ancient language, offering sacrifices to unseen forces. But with each passing day, he began to notice the changes. The air around him grew colder, even in the heat of summer. He would wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, his room icy cold. The shadows in his home seemed to move on their own, and he could hear whispers in the wind, voices that seemed to come from nowhere. But the money began to flow in, small amounts at first, but soon it was large sums, enough for Michael to start his own business. He opened a construction supply business, and the orders came pouring in. The people of Hollow Creek were amazed at his sudden success, but Michael couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The more he gained, the more he felt as if something or someone was watching him. One night, as he was working late in his office, Michael saw a figure standing in the doorway. It was a woman, her face obscured by a veil. Her presence chilled him to the bone. "You've done well," the witch said, her voice echoing through the room. "Now, it's time to fulfill your part of the bargain." Michael's heart raced. "What do you want from me?" The witch smiled, her eyes gleaming. "I want you to bring me a child, the child of the woman who lives next door." Michael froze. "No, I can't do that. I won't do it." The witch's smile faded. "You will, or you will pay the price. If you refuse, you will lose everything. Your wealth, your business, your life. Everything will be taken from you." Michael was torn. He had always been a man of integrity, but the witch's power was overwhelming. He had everything he had ever wanted: wealth, success, power. But at what cost? In the end, his greed consumed him. He went to the woman's house and took the child, delivering it to the witch as promised. But the moment he did, everything changed. The witch's power grew stronger, and the town of Hollow Creek began to suffer. People grew sick, crops withered, and strange accidents plagued the town. Michael's business began to fail, and he started to lose everything he had worked for. But he couldn't stop the witch; she had already claimed him. Soon, Michael realized the truth. The witch had never intended to grant him wealth. She had used him to gain more power, feeding on his greed, feeding on the lives of those around him. His life fell apart. His family disowned him. His business collapsed, and he was left alone, with nothing but the curse of his own making. Greed will always come with a price. The desire for power and wealth can lead you down dark paths, and once you make a deal with darkness, it is not easily undone. Hard work, integrity, and a good heart are the only true paths to success and happiness.